Hello, ladies and gents! It's tank review time once again, and I have a rather famous, or better to say infamous subject for it, the Tier 9 American auto-loading medium, the T54E1. Now, those having watched some of my streams previously, they might be surprised to learn that I actually did come to like this little bastard of a machine. I have been struggling with it for the longest time, and it really wasn't until the last 40 or 50 games that I really managed to tame it. As from then, however, it was one glorious row of destruction. Quite a controversial machine then. People either love it or despise it, and we will definitely explore the whys, comparing it to the other auto-loaders at this tier. If you want to skip the statistics and jump straight to the action bits, you will find a quite nice 5000 damage run at the end of this video. The timestamp to it already awaits in the description below. And as for the rest of us, let's have first a quick look at the real-life version of the T54E1. Now, I would love to tell you about some heroic battles of the past, but this was actually one of those tanks that never did see any battle. The whole T54 line, including the T54, the T54E1 and the E2 version, were a series of American prototype tanks in the mid-1950s, all designed around the 105mm gun and the chassis of the M48 pattern. 2 out of the 3 tanks had an auto-loading mechanism, and the E1 version had an oscillating turret as well, much like the T69s. It's perhaps interesting to mention that 105mm autoloader had in reality a 9-round clip compared to the 4 rounds that we have in the game, but I think we can agree that that would be slightly overpowered. Eventually, however, the whole project was scrapped, mostly due to the faulty autoloading mechanism, and the focus shifted to the development of the new T95 series. Alright, history lesson over. Time to have a look at why so many people hate this machine, and why at the same time it can still be an absolute beast on the battlefield. We will compare it against the 2 other auto-loading mediums at Tier 9, the French Batchet 25T AP and the Czech Skoda T50. Starting with that infamous 105mm autoloader, the T54E1 has the lowest DPM of this Tier 9 trio, but it's still a healthy over 2200 damage per minute. As with most autoloaders, however, sustained DPM is not the main focus, it's the burst potential that we are really interested in. And here, the E1 absolutely delivers. With 4 shells per clip and 2.2 seconds delay between shells, you can deliver 1560 damage on average in just under 7 seconds. This is very strong, allowing you to clip full health Tier 8 heavy tanks and murder pretty much everything that already took some damage. That's crazy good, right? Yeah, so why don't you see more of these beasts running around on the battlefield? Well, there are actually 2 very good reasons for that. For one, I'm afraid we already covered all the strong points of this machine, and as from now we will have a look at a rather long list of drawbacks that really limit all this power, making this a very tricky machine to drive. And secondly, the T54E1 leads to the T57 Heavy, and that's basically the same machine, only a lot better in almost every single aspect. But let's go through the details together. Sticking with the gun, you have a meaty 390 average damage per shot, and a rather lowish penetration of 210mm only on average. The pen is actually one of the biggest bugbears for many with this machine. The gun is just not accurate enough to snipe with it or go for weak spots at any other distance than point-blank range, and the mobility is not good enough to allow for easy flanking moves. And yeah, firing at the front of a lot of the opposition will be tricky with this much penetration only. A lot of people will opt for APCR exactly because of this, and that thing has 255mm of pen, but I found that there were hardly any situations where another solution to pressing my 2 key would not have been more beneficial. But we'll get back to that a little bit later. Now, another big drawback for this gun is the very long clip reload time of almost 35 seconds that will leave you extremely vulnerable for a very long time. This is a lot worse than what your competition has, and it's something that you absolutely have to plan your every move around. Gun handling is another problem for many, and indeed it's not exactly a shiny performance. The aim time is rather slowish with only 2.8 seconds. The gun is quite inaccurate with 0.38 meters, and the secondary dispersion values are absolute garbage, causing very poor accuracy on the move. Oh, and just the icing on the cake, the bloom after each shot is really big as well. Last but not least, gun depression at 8 degrees is actually not too bad, as is the above 1000 meter per sec shell velocity. You have, however, only 36 shells, aka 9 clips at your disposal, so that could be trouble, but in reality it's seldom the case thanks to the fact that you have to be very selective with your engagements anyway. Moving on to protection, you actually have the most HP from all the Tier 9 autoloaders with 1750 HP, which is good news for the times when you just have to take that shot in order to unload your clip. On paper it even looks like that you are quite heavily armored from the front, especially compared to your competition. While this is true, the fact that you are at Tier 9 completely negates this positive, I'm afraid. Both your hull and your turret are well angled from the front, but already around 200 mm of penetration will go through a lot of places easily, and that's nothing really special at these higher tiers. Just to give you an idea, the middle of the upper and lower plate, the huge turret ring, the turret cheeks on both the upper and lower part, and of course your cupola are all welcoming targets, and you just can't really hide this many weak spots. At least thanks to the shape of the turret, you will pull off some miracle bounces when they hit a more heavily angled part. However, this is not something that you can rely on. And as standard with most American tanks, your sides and rear are absolute garbage, so literally everything will pen you there easily. To make your things even more challenging, you have a rather large silhouette as well, allowing for easy shots. Oh, and if you stay still in the open to unload your clip, artillery can easily one-shot you, penning your large turret and engine top where you have only 25 mm of flat armor. Alright, so this is quite scary actually so far. Surely the mobility will be our saving grace. Well, I'm afraid not. The 43 km/h top speed is actually not too bad, even if both of our competitors have it higher than us. But it's really the power-to-weight ratio at around 15 horsepower per ton that lets us absolutely down. This is way lower than what you would expect from a medium tank, and you will definitely feel more like a heavy, being a big and slow target. The fact that you have also the worst terrain resistances from this trio do not really help either. Now as for the traverse speeds, turret traverse is alrightish with 37 degrees, and hull traverse is finally actually quite good at 47 degrees per second. Fine, but then you must have at least good camo ratings, no? Nope. Still no, I'm afraid. The camo is once again more heavy tank-like, also due to your size, so you will get spotted quite easily. At least your view range is quite good at 400 meters, even though this is nothing special at this tier, and your radio range is solid too, not that it would interest anyone. So that's quite a challenge, isn't it? Your gun really works best up close and personal, but you have neither the armor nor the mobility to just simply drive up to the enemy. You are a big, slow target, and as you have a dangerous gun, you will become public enemy number 1 as soon as you get spotted. The poor mobility combined with the long clip reloads also makes getting out of sticky situations extremely hard, even if you manage to get into an ambush position in the first place. Sounds like Mission Impossible? Luckily, not quite, though it's definitely not an easy task. This thing works best supporting a group of teammates, and engaging only when the enemy already have their hands full. Aggressive pushing on your own only really works when you are certain that you have enough support behind you that will make the enemy think twice about rushing you during your reloads. Timing your shots is also key. You really should not take more than one shot when you are unloading your clip, otherwise you will be out of HP really soon. Another important thing is that you should use the surrounding chaos and get in the sides and rear of your opponents and aim for weak spots in all cases. 210mm of average PAM is well enough if you use it well, but every single shot that bounces will hurt your burst potential greatly, and you may find yourself suddenly with an empty clip in front of a very angry enemy tank who you were certain to kill with a single clip. In addition, remember that those 1560 burst damage is an average value only. This can range pretty much anywhere from 1170 to 1950, even if all 4 shells penetrated. So don't leave yourself in a vulnerable spot just because you low rolled. Sounds easy enough, but I promise it's quite hard to master. When you get it right, however, you will be a powerful menace on the battlefield, one who is really being feared. And that's a reward in itself. Concerning equipment, since you can't really be a cheeky sniper, and as autoloaders can't equip a gun rammer, I suggest to use vertical stabilizer, vents, and a gun laying drive. As for crew skills, I did have it differently when I played it, but I would suggest personally to go for Sixth Sense, Snapshot, Smooth Ride, and Wet Stowage, followed by Brothers in Arms, followed by Repairs. Right, I think we had enough numbers and suggestions for one day. Let's take this thing out for a spin and see just how much carnage you can do with only 4 shells. Alright, so here we are in our T54E1 on good old Himmelsdorf in encounter mode, which means the battle for the hill. Now this will be an interesting one. We seem to be the underdog looking at the stats, and this is also more a mobile engagement of mediums and lights with a good sprinkle of tank destroyers on both sides, so we can expect a lot of chaos up on top of the hill. And that said, I really don't agree with my positioning anymore. Just look at it, there is almost no firepower going up on the hill, and the FV4202P actually makes a U-turn and abandons the position as well, and I think he's making the right move here. We can expect a very dangerous opposition from the other side, including tanks like the 121 or the Batchat. Still, I decided to go up and push into a quite aggressive position. So let's see how that will work out for us. Now, I really don't want to go to the right, because I can expect snipers on G3. So instead I will move into cover with the Jagdpanzer E100 behind me, and that will actually be a very important position to hold, because that means that anything that pokes this ridge, tries to rush me, will get a massive shell in its face. Now let's see. First customer is up, Tiger 2, full health, 1600 HP. I first wait, see if the Jagdpanzer E100 can get a shot in so I can assassinate that guy, but it doesn't happen, and he fired, so that means I can go for it. Quick tracking shot, that's 1, he repairs, retrack, that's 3, and that's 4, and we are back. So, could not quite manage it. With just a bit higher roll, this would have been an easy kill. He makes a move, taking a revenge shot, but the Jagdpanzer E100 absolutely murders him. Now, this is where the very long reload can get super dangerous, and the Jagdpanzer E100 pushing absolutely confused the enemy. So that gives me enough time to reload. And can we reload in time to take that guy out? Yes, good. Now for the front. Let's save the E100. That's 1. And 2. And that's number 3. So we absolutely murdered the AMX-AC as well. But now we have to reload for another half a minute. It's very important in my opinion to always let your teammates know that you are reloading. First of all, because you will get sent to hell a bit less in chat, because they know that you can't help them anyway. And also, they can time their pushes a lot better if they know that they can't expect any support from you. Yeah, almost reloaded now, however. So the Centurion is out of luck. That's one. And that's two. And we still have two shells. And there is indeed some opposition down there. So let's not go for the reload just yet. It's the Black Bulldog, and that guy seems to be AFK. Two shots into him. But he suddenly decides to drive, so I really don't know what that guy was doing. I decide to go down the other way. AMX 1390 should absolutely have the situation, and indeed, he kills him. Now, there are only a couple of things left. I was half expecting the artillery to be here, but the FV has been spotted all the way over on the other side, so that means there is a Waffenträger E100 lurking around. And, well, I really don't want to bump into that guy while I'm still reloading. The time has come, however, so let's see if we can pump him full with shots. And there he is, and he's looking this way, and that's not good. Quickly, that's one, that's two, and he must be reloading, otherwise he would have just killed me. So I can easily put another shot into him. I decide to stop him. Almost kills me. I was hoping for just a few extra damage by ramming, but E100 hull is tough. Nevertheless, that was a 4.5 minute flawless victory. So that's how you do over 5000 damage in 4.5 minutes. Now, of course, let's be honest here. This could have gone pear-shaped very easily would the enemy team have gone for a rush, and of course the Jagdpanzer E100 was an invaluable help as well, with the fear factor it represents. Still, I think we could demonstrate the burst potential of this often underrated Tier 9 medium. All this damage was unfortunately only enough for a first-class mastery badge and a high caliber award, but at least we could pocket over 1200 base experience. And looking at the team results, well, I think we could say that we did hoover up the enemy health pool quite nicely. Now overall in this very rapid game we fired 16 shots, 15 of which hit, and every single one of them penetrated as well. While your gun might have its limitations, it's not necessarily a gold spammer like most would suggest, especially when you are shooting softer targets. Those will melt before you even from the front. I did grind through this machine without using any premium ammunition, and I never really felt left behind. Our armor, on the other hand, did let through 4 out of the 5 shots received, which is about what you can expect. It's merely more occasionally troll rather than being reliable. Alright, this was then my quick review of the Tier 9 American medium tank, the T54E1. I hope you found this little review useful, and if you did, thanks a lot for considering giving it a like or sharing it. Tomorrow we will continue with an epic World of Warships replay in the infamous Murmansk, and then we will close the week on Friday with a bit more tank action. Thanks a lot for watching, take care and see you next time.